Well, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to Front Porch Brunch, our weekend gathering where we get together and we talk about the news. And oh boy, have we got things to talk about. You know, you didn't think that on a weekend before an election you wouldn't have anything to say. Well, never let it be said that I am without something to gab about. And believe me, I'm going to be gabbing and dunking and diving and shucking and jiving and doing all kinds of things that I am known for doing. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So please, if you would not mind, it would be greatly appreciated. I would be eternally thankful and other such things if you would please share the link around right now. Tell all your friends, get in here. We have the best non-professional campaign coverage that you're going to get this morning on a Saturday, for whatever that's worth. And also, while you're at it, if you're going to go ahead and share the link, if you're not subscribed to my channel, if your friends are not subscribed to my channel, please ask them to do so. It would be greatly appreciated. Hit the thumbs up, leave a comment and chat, do all that crazy stuff that you guys do. Like the legendary Jack Buck said, go crazy, St. Louis, go crazy. Anyway, again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes known as the fine fella in the fedora. I am occasionally referred to as the beau in the chapeau. On occasion, you will also hear me called the common man with common sense. But regardless of all those fancy titles, which I made up for myself, I am above all things, all one lovable, wonderful thing. I am, in this hour, at this moment, on planet Earth, your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube. So please, share the link. Tell your friends to subscribe. Tell your friends' friends to subscribe. Get their friends' friends to tell their friends to subscribe. Get everybody to subscribe. Just go crazy out there. It's all good. And we'll all have fun. Hit the thumbs up, leave comments in chat, share the link, subscribe to the channel, do all those things. Just get nuts. All right, let's see who's in the house this morning. It is great to be with you guys on this Saturday morning, November 2nd. We are basically 3 days away from Election Day. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Children, like that old preacher in a Southern church said, we've got to hurry. We've got to hurry. Mercy. Mercy, mercy me. So glad to have you guys here this morning. Let's see who's in the house so far. We'll start on the YouTube side of things. Z Highness is here. Mwah! Good morning, baby. You gorgeous looking thing, you. Adam's in the house, my crazy Canadian. Fist bump, brother. Fist bump. Let's see who all is here. Happy Porch Shabbat. Well, Shabbat Shalom to you, my friend. Forgive me if my Yiddish is a little bit off, but I think you get the idea. Late and Gary. Oh, my word. Now I have been paid a high compliment, ladies and gentlemen, to be compared to the ever late Gary Beekler, a.k.a. Nerdrotic. Oh, Z Highness, you thrilled an old man's heart. That's great. Hello, Gypsy. Mwah! Good morning, you gorgeous thing. Who else among these lovely ladies are here? The lovely Lana. Which, by the way, we were on a Twitter Spaces yesterday, hosted by Heidi Briones, and I happened to see her in chat. She saw me, so we were kind of like passing ships in the night, but otherwise we had fun. So it's good to see you, Lana. Oh, let's see. Who else is here? No, I am not going to start speaking in tongues. No, sir, I am not going to do that. I am not speaking in tongues. No. Unless, of course, she wants me to speak French, but that's a whole... Never mind. You get the joke. Anyway. I'm sorry. It was low-hanging fruit. What was I going to do? I mean, seriously. Oh, good to have you here this morning, Professor. Let's see who else is here. Everybody's kind of settling in. All right. Let's see. Let's go over to Rumble and check out what the Wingnuts are doing. Uh-oh. WWG1's already dropped one in, one of his merry memes. Oh, my goodness. And good morning to you, sir. Let's see. TBA is in the houses. Are we live yet? Of course we're live, sir. Good time enough to grab coffee. All right. Well, there you go. The wing nuts have brunched and assembled on the porch. Yes, you have. Wong nuts? Well, I don't want to know if you got a walnut. That's just a whole personal issue that you need to work out. Bless your heart. Boom, boom. There you go. Wong Wei Feldman from Gilligan's Island. Yeah, could be. Could be. TBA says YouTube got all the pretty women. We got the wing nuts. Well, there you go. There you go. Oh, mercy. Whew. Getting hot in here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Sorry guys. I guess I got to pull myself together here. Oh, it's a gorgeous Saturday morning where I am. Sun shining outside. I had to put the curtain down so I wouldn't like blind you with my angelic light from behind my face, you know. Good morning, Miss Tesla. Mwah! Hello, you good-looking thing, you. All these ladies. Oh, my goodness. Love y'all. Love y'all. Oh, wow. It's almost here. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am equal parts terrified and excited and loathsome, and I don't know. I don't know. No. WWG1 says, I saw the glow surrounding you, Brian. I thought you were pregnant. All right, now wait a minute. You take that woke crap right out of here, okay? Just take your wokey philosophy and take a walk with it. Oh my God. Oh my God. TBA says this election season has been the best in history. Yeah, in some respects I cannot disagree with you. The passion, the energy, it's been just amazing. I mean, I cannot speak to Kamala Harris's side of the aisle or Joe Biden's before he dropped out, but man, the energy, the passion, I don't know. It's just, yeah, in that respect, I agree. WWG wants the strangest in history by far. Yeah, this one ranks right up there, man. I mean, you know, I am no presidential historian, but I got to admit, man, this thing's had more twists and turns than somebody doing yoga. It's like, I mean, we've gone downward facing dog. We've gone crow. We've gone everything, man. It's crazy. Just straight crazy. Adam, sir, anytime we get the chance to hang out with these beautiful based women, yes, sir, we are in heaven. I'll go ahead and answer your question right now. So there you go. Oh, my goodness. Great to have you guys here this morning. It is Saturday. It is November 2nd. We are 3 days away from the big event, and it's just, wow. Hi. Right back. How you doing, Rhonda? Glad to have you here. NBA not in. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll let you guys finish that conversation. All right. Let's get down to business because we have got a slew of stuff to talk about this morning. I have got one of the biggest string of tabs across my second monitor lined up for you guys, and hopefully you will enjoy it. Hopefully you'll have fun with it. And we're here to have a good time, and I want everybody to enjoy. Feel free to contribute. If you got comments, let's hear them. You got memes, let's do it. And we will WWG1. This is like one for the benefit of the good. All right, we'll put that in there. Oh my goodness. Okay. We'll start off as we are wont to do with the Merry Memes section of the show. And for those of you who may be visiting for the first time and you're like, what is this Front Porch Brunch thing that I'm watching? Well, we try to mix in all kinds of good stuff, humor, news, analysis, all kinds of things. But we always try to start the show with a laugh because, frankly, let's be honest about it. When you get to this point in where you are, you need to laugh. I need to laugh. Hell, we all need to laugh. And believe me, it's just between working and inflation and reading the news and everything else, you have got to find some way to blow off steam. Well, the illustrious members of the Electronic Front Porch, who are referred to lovingly by their host as Fedora Nation, came up with something a while back in a very organic manner. As is a want in the 21st century, there are people who make memes, the modern day equivalent of political cartoons. Well, the audience, and this is for the benefit of those who've never been here before, the audience started sharing these memes with me. And, in a very organic way, we created what we call the Merry Memes section of the show. Way back in the day when Warner Brothers did their cartoons, they had Merry Melodies. Well, we have Merry Memes. And the memes are downright funny, instructive, humorous. They can take on some social stuff. And I provide them, and like I say, people provide them to me and I pass them on for the benefit of the good because, some of this stuff is just downright funny. TBA says, are we doing a 4-hour front porch brunch? I've got leaves to rake. Can't do 4 hours, y'all. Well, put the earbuds in, daggone. No, I'm just kidding. Dude, you do what you got to do. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how long we're going to be going today, but, you do what you got to do and I will understand completely. Anytime you're here, TBA, it's always greatly appreciated. So there you go. And with that, we'll start off with the Merry Memes. And we have a Diddy update. Yes, that's right, folks. Sean Diddy Combs be back in our line of sight. A lot of the accusations made against Sean P. Diddy Combs go back a lot of years. Usually, I've heard it around the start of the 2010 era when Diddy really hit prominence big time. Don't get me wrong, he'd been around since the 90s or whatever, but he'd been working it and trying to do his thing, whatever. Well, Twitter's giving me trouble this morning. Daggone it. Hopefully that'll resolve itself. But anyway, we'll work that out later. Come to find out, this stuff about Diddy, it goes back, some of these accusations go back really to the early 2000s. And as a matter of fact, people were trying to warn the world about Sean P. Diddy Combs. If you don't believe me, even the late Colin Powell was trying to explain to everybody, to the entire world, what some of the problems with Diddy might be. So, here's Colin Powell, our illustrious Secretary of State at the United Nations, pointing out, hey, we got a problem here. We got to do something about this. I don't know if he was trying to get some kind of, United Nations Security Council thing going or whatever, but apparently, man, Diddy's been on the radar of world leaders for a long time. So I don't know, man. I don't know. So there you go. Oh, Adam. That is wrong in so many different ways. But funny. Very funny indeed. All right, what else have we got in the way of the Merry Memes this morning? Oh, yes, and speaking of Diddy, speaking of old Diddy, you always hear discussions, especially in the area of physics, about the questions of cause and effect. And, a lot of people who are endorsing Kamala Harris seem to have one thing in common. And I'm just going to leave this one right here, and you guys can do with it what you will. Like I said, a lot of people are endorsing Kamala who seem to have have one thing in common. So there you go. There you go. Like I say, I will just let this speak for itself. Good morning, Intello. How are you doing? We're good. We're just settling into our chairs, pouring cups of coffee, hanging out, doing our thing. So there you go. Could be. Could very well be, sir. Could very well be. Oh my goodness. There's been a lot of unsung heroes in this election. Oh, that's all right, dear. That's all right. You're all good. You know us. And by the way, mwah, and Intello, mwah, and either one, it both works. No, we know what you meant, dear. Don't worry. It's all good. There you go. There's been a lot of unsung heroes so far in the 2024 election, and a lot of campaign stories, etc., of people doing great, heroic, and courageous things. And now we have a new entry into the pantheon of heroes in the 2024 election, because this is the hero we deserve, ladies and gentlemen. This is the hero we deserve. Hecklefish. Apparently, this, our hero, has been showing up at Kamala Harris rallies and living up to his name. So if you see this guy at a Kamala Harris rally, as he's either swimming out or being thrown out, don't forgive this guy a fist to fin bump. Just saying. All right, what else have we got in the way of the merry memes? Yes. Yeah, I tell you what, there's a lot of anger out there. A lot of anger, folks. Intello, I saw that question and hang on to it. We'll get to it momentarily. I will answer that. There's a lot of anger out there, folks, especially among the Democrats. I mean, political historians or just guys like me, are sitting around, we're kind of scratching our chins going, has anybody ever seen Democrats quite this angry? And one person came up with an answer, and the more that I think about what they've said, the more I think they are absolutely right. I don't know that I've ever seen Democrats this angry until this happened. So, take that for what it's worth, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, seriously, Democrats may not have been that mad since back then. And that was a pretty traumatic event for those folks back in the day. Well, what are you going to do? My goodness. All right, got a couple of more here. And this one is compliments of WWG1. And folks, you never quite look, don't get me wrong. I love WWG1 for so many different reasons. He is one of the OGs of the Wingnuts over on Rumble. And yeah, y'all been around long enough on my channel that you've now reached the status of OG. Okay, you are OG Wingnuts. All of you over there. And and with WWG1, whenever he puts something in, you never quite know what you're going to get. So I give you that word of warning, but he has provided something for a good chuckle, and I will just put this up here and let it speak for itself. Enjoy, folks. Okay, now wait a minute. WWG1, I got to ask you, what the heck is driving that thing? Is that a hamster or a rat or a guinea pig? What the hell is that thing? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm getting a kick out of watching this, but it's just kind of like, the heck is that? Okay, so it's a hamster. All right. Okay.
You have to go around, Cusco.
Crisco? You named him after margarine?
Come on, Cusco, you're close. Why are you going that way?
Close to wrecking is more like it.
Cusco.
Crisco, just walk it, brother. Yay! Crisco wins. Well, there you go, folks. I tell you, really? Florida drivers are that bad? Oh my God! Hang on a minute. My curtain is there. We go. There we go. All right. Florida drivers are that bad? Oh my word! That's just funny. Okay, I disavow. I disavow, sir. How dare you? That is a very untoward comment toward Arab Americans. My God, that's just goodness. I disavow. I'm sorry, folks. I disavow this comment. Just terrible. I say terrible. Yeah, he's whipping it. Yeah, he's whipping it into a guardrail and somebody's front yard and in their living room and everything else. TBA over on Rumble says, sometimes I think that's me in the morning searching for my coffee. God. Oh, good. Well, yeah, apparently he hasn't figured out turn signals yet. I'm just saying. Oh, my goodness. That is just funny as all get out. Funny as all get out. All right, we got one more here in the section of the Merry Memes. And look, I'll say this. In 4 more days, or hopefully no more than 4 more days, let's put it like that, this is going to be over, this whole election season. And we will get back to things that are important. And you've got Veterans Day coming up very soon here in the United States, where we, honor and remember our veterans. But also more important than that, we have Thanksgiving. And regardless of where everybody is at in this whole campaign thing, we're going to sit down together. We're going to break bread. We're going to give thanks for the food in front of us. We're going to give thanks for our family members, for our health, for everything else. And we'll come together. Okay. And one of the really cool things about Thanksgiving is the fact that we take the time to give thanks to God for all that we have. The prayer that's offered at the beginning of the meal. And some people, give a general, Lord, thank you for this food. And some of them are very, very serious about their prayers. Well, depending on what kind of house you wind up going to Thanksgiving in, you might find a prayer something like this. Dear Lord, protect us from the statists who worship the pedophile death cult. Now, I don't know, but this kind of looks to me like an Alex Jones Thanksgiving. I'm just saying, take that for what it's worth. I don't know, guys. If you hear these words coming out of somebody offering the prayer before you eat the Thanksgiving meal, look around you very carefully. You might be hanging out with Alex Jones. No, I'm just kidding. We're all saying this prayer these days. It ain't just Alex Jones. And with that, we will move on to the first topic of the morning. And folks, you guys know me. I have been very, very optimistic leading up to now. I have said that I like Donald Trump's chances. But ladies and gentlemen, I am now convinced that Donald Trump is going to lose. I'm convinced that he finally stepped in it. He finally did something so over the top that he's going to just tank his chances. It's going to happen. Just take it to the bank. This is going to happen. Now, you might be wondering, Front Porch, what could possibly have been said by Donald Trump after all these years that would make you believe that he is going to lose? Well, ladies and gentlemen, his rhetoric has absolutely gone to a level I never thought I'd ever see it go to in public. And if you don't believe me, I want you to listen to this clip.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now, for some context, that was Donald Trump hanging out with Tucker Carlson out in Arizona, and they are sitting around. They're talking about Liz Cheney. So now Donald Trump apparently wants Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. Let's see how she feels with 9 barrels of a gun staring down her face. I can't believe this kind of rhetoric coming out of the mouth of Donald Trump. It's over, folks. It's all over. It's done. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. And by the way, there is appropriate shock that has gone across the airwaves, and understandably so. I can't blame people. I mean, here is Liz Cheney's reaction to the whole thing. This is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to a petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man who wants to be a tyrant. Literally, that's how Liz Cheney was saying it. And it's gotten so bad, in fact, Donald Trump was so over the top, okay, that Liz Cheney is calling on former President. Oh, you got to read the headline. You just got to read the headline. Calling on George W. Bush to endorse Kamala Harris over Trump. I mean, this is an article by Misty Severi over at Just the News. Former Wyoming GOP Congresswoman Liz Cheney on Friday urged former President George W. Bush to endorse Vice President Kamala Harris, asserting that it was, quote, time to do so. Cheney, the daughter of Bush's former Vice President Dick Cheney, has been one of Harris's most prominent Republican supporters in this election and has joined her on the campaign trail. Dick Cheney has also endorsed Harris over former President Donald Trump. Although Bush has kept his promise not to endorse a presidential candidate this year, his daughter Barbara Bush has campaigned for the VP. And here is a direct quote from Liz Cheney. I can't explain why George W. Bush hasn't spoken out, but I think it's time, and I wish he would. When you have Jeff Bezos apparently afraid to issue an endorsement for the only candidate in this race who's a stable, responsible adult because he fears Donald Trump, that tells you why we have to work so hard to make sure Donald Trump isn't elected. Yeah, this is how big the repercussions are off of this statement. It's absolutely extraordinary. As a matter of fact, it's gone so far. It has gone so far. The Attorney General of Arizona is ready to have Trump investigated over this malicious, evil, awful comment. So over the top. It's absolutely ridiculous what Donald Trump said. My God, check this out, folks. Like I said, legal matters are getting ready to come down for Trump over this one.
And Bram Resnick, the political anchor and reporter from our NBC affiliate in Phoenix, KPNX, joins us. Talk about this breaking news regarding Donald Trump's comments that he made about Liz Cheney in Arizona last night. The Attorney General is responding?
That's right. I just spoke to Attorney General Chris Mays about 2 hours ago for the taping of my Sunday show. She told me she just gotten off the phone with her criminal division chief, and she was investigating whether what Donald Trump said about Liz Cheney constituted a death threat under Arizona law.
Folks, this is how serious it's getting. It is absolutely, it's curtains for Donald Trump. It's all over. He let his mouth get the better of him. I mean, even Jonah Goldberg, and thank God we've got Jonah Goldberg, who is out there saying what everybody is thinking. Here is CNN the other morning as they were analyzing this completely inappropriate comment from a presidential candidate. My God, you've got to listen to what Jonah Goldberg, that fountain of wisdom, has to say.
I don't think you even need to call it fired upon. He's saying quite explicitly and unambiguously that Liz Cheney should be shot, should be executed by firing squad. That is appalling. It is a small facet of the reasons why he's unfit for office, and the Republican Party has made a disastrous mistake renominating him. All that said, since we're here for the punditry, I don't know what this gets him. right?
Well, I know what it gets him. It's going to get him charges from the Arizona Attorney General, for heaven's sake. I mean, folks, this is just wholly inappropriate. It's absolutely terrible, and it's totally out of context. That's right. What you have heard and my ranting on top, and by the way, old hag washerwoman with a jug of moonshine on her hip, WWG1, that's what you think my impersonation of Liz Cheney sounds like? Well, I will just have to do better. I was going for a young washerwoman with a jug of moonshine on her hip, not a hag, thank you very much, but I'll have to do better, apparently. What you have heard is so over the top and so outrageous, not necessarily because of the comment, it's because of the reaction that the press and the Democrats are trying to have to it. Would you really like to hear what Donald Trump said? I mean, yeah, I think I've got TBA talked off the ceilings now. What? Have you lost your mind? Lizzie must have been talking about it. Just TBA, just come down off the ceiling, brother. Just come down off the ceiling. It's all good. And don't worry, I saw your comment about Goldberg. We'll get to that here in a minute too. And let's see, what else are you guys saying over on the YouTube side? Do not tempt fate. I am not trying to tempt fate, dear. I'm just trying to imitate the mainstream press, which, believe me, I'll need to take a very big shower after this is over with to get that much scum off of me. You know, Intello says, I have no issue Trump saying that about. We'll get to what he actually said here in just a second. I want to catch up the comments. Now, Gypsy, I absolutely agree with you on this one. I absolutely agree. Kim Jong-il probably saw that and guffed. Yeah, Trump took a leaf out of my playbook. That's good. That is good. Man, my Liz Cheney impersonation is just getting roasted by you guys. Jeez. Man, that's just, oh my gosh. Oh, honey, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you in the slightest. They're awful. And it's just, man. Would you guys like to hear what Donald Trump really said in its full context? Because this is what cracks me up about this. The palpable desperation by the media and the Democrats as time is slipping away on this race. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's totally over with yet, because I put nothing past the Democrats' ability to cheat. Yes, I said it, YouTube, cheat. And they will. That said, the desperation on the part of the press and the Democrats is absolutely palpable. And if you're resorting to this kind of a stunt, then that's just all it is. Now, let me set this up, and then I will play the almost 1 minute comment, because you'll notice that the first one I played was about 20 seconds, which the guy, I took it down now, but the guy who did this is notorious for this kind of crap. Donald Trump was out in Arizona Thursday night. He's appearing at Tucker Carlson's last major campaign event of 2024, this road tour that Tucker's been doing. And Donald Trump's sitting down, and now here's the background to the beginning of the comment. Donald Trump is actually discussing Dick Cheney and the fact that, Dick Cheney thanked him for endorsing his daughter when Trump was president and she was in Congress. Now, that's the setup to the clip that you're about to hear. Now, for you people in the media who might happen to stumble upon my live stream and would like an education in how to actually do some real journalism, even though I don't have one of your credentialed degrees, I at least have the good common sense to know how to find a comment and look at it in its context. Okay? So with that, here's what Donald Trump really said.
And Cheney was he said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter. But his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. What did Donald Trump say in that statement that I don't even non-neocons, which I guess is folks like, you and me. What did Donald Trump say in that whole statement in full context that folks like us have been saying for the longest time? It's real easy to be a neocon or a war hawk when you're sitting safely in Washington, D.C. or wherever it is, and you don't mind sending off somebody else's kids to get killed. Let's see what happens when you are the one staring down the barrel of the gun in a war zone. Let's see how war hawky you want to be then. Now, let's be totally fair about this. Did Donald Trump say that in the best way possible? No. If you're talking about for purposes of a soundbite, no, he really didn't. I got to be perfectly honest. I'm supporting Trump, but, in that moment, could he have said it better? Maybe. Well, or maybe the better say, could he have said it in a more soundbite friendly way? Yeah, I think you could. I think that's a fair statement to make. On the other hand, if you judge the comment and media, listen to me carefully, in its full context, while you out there in the mainstream media may disagree with Donald Trump's statement in principle, practically you have no leg to stand on. By that, I mean, you might disagree with the argument behind the statement about, war hawks being more war hawky when they're not at risk in all this. But in principle, the argument is, the argument is perfectly valid. You might disagree with it, but it's perfectly valid, and it's perfectly right for him to make the statement. Yeah, and Gypsy, I can't disagree with you. It wasn't the best way of saying it. He is 3 rallies today. I think 3 rallies tomorrow, and I think 4 rallies on Monday. The man is just boogieing for all it's worth. Crazy. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. And Atlanta, this is a great point. I.e. non-neocons. In other words, normal people. Again, the attitude was the bedrock of the Democrat Party in the 1960s. And yet, that is so true. Look at how far the Democrat Party has swung from its anti-war roots in the 1960s to where it is now. The Democrat Party is the party of war. I'm sorry. There's no other way to say it. They want to go to war. The old anti-war faction that made up the Democrat Party is almost non-existent anymore. I literally cannot think of. I tell you what, let's do it this way. If you guys can think, and I'm not doing this to put anybody down or anything. If you can think of a legitimate anti-war Democrat, drop the comment in chat because I'd like to see the name. And again, I will be happy to be proven wrong on this. But may I respectfully point out, it has been mostly Democrats with the help of some very rhino Republicans who have been funding the war in Ukraine. All right, fair point. But then again, let me rephrase my question. Current members of Congress or recently retired. Let's put it that way. Yeah, JFK was anti-war. And by the way, he'd actually served in one. He had a PT boat shot out from under him. So the man kind of understands why it is you don't want to go to war if you can at all avoid it. You get and again, that kind of makes the point. All right. Okay. Dennis Kucinich. I'll give you that one, Professor. I'll absolutely give you that one. But outside of Dennis Kucinich, and maybe just a handful of anti-war Democrats, that party is more or less they're gone, man. They are absolutely gone. Okay, you can maybe throw Bernie into that. You can maybe throw Bernie into that. Hang on here a second, guys. Oh God, this is great. This is great. TBA, I just got a chance to look at what you just sent me. This is great. And yeah, it's so wholly appropriate. It really is. It really is. You want to put an end to a war anywhere in the world? This is how you do it. If you saw a battalion, this is how you put this is how you put a war to an end. Right here. If you saw that charging at you from the beach, yeah, you'd be drawing up surrender papers too. But yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is crazy. Well, now TBA over on Rumble says, nah, not Bernie. He voted for every war ever. Well, okay. And Adam brings up a good point. Fought in the Sudan, Afghanistan, escaped as a POW camp in South Africa, and was an officer of World War I. But the point being, there are maybe a handful of anti-war Democrats anymore, either currently in the Congress or recently retired. The Democrat Party is the party of war. And Trump made a perfectly valid point, albeit in a less than successful manner when he initially made it. And the point is, it's real easy to be a war hawk when you're sitting, 3 or 4 or 5,000 miles away from the fighting. Let's just see how much of a war hawk you'd be if you were staring down the barrel of a gun. But what does the media do? Oh my God, he wants Liz Cheney executed. Oh my God, he wants her in front of a firing squad. This is indefensible. This is terrible. We can't let this man back in the White House. It's just awful. And by the way, apparently after Jonah Goldberg saw the whole clip, to TBA's point over on Rumble, he walked back his comments. He said he was wrong. He gave a very lengthy apology on Twitter. All right, I'm not a big Jonah Goldberg fan, but I give him credit. He did the right thing. He absolutely did the right thing. Hat tip Jonah Goldberg. Like I say, I normally don't do that where he's concerned. But he's absolutely right. I've got a comment here from Mark Halperin, who is currently the host of Two Way, which is a show on social media. He's formerly of ABC News, and not by any means a Donald Trump fan. Let's just get that out there right now. But even that Mark Halperin recognizes what the press is trying to do, and none of it is real good. With that, is from Mark Halperin.
The press, because they're liberally biased and because they don't like Donald Trump, they regularly do things that are wrong. They're taking something Trump did and they're twisting it. They do that to Kamala Harris too. They do that to Joe Biden. They do that to politicians. But when I played high school basketball, my coach always told me an error in the first quarter is a mistake, a turnover is not as bad as a turnover or a missed shot in the fourth quarter because there's less time to make up for the error. Okay. 4 days out, the press doing something unfair can have a real impact on the race. And we've seen in the last
sorry, folks,
few days, extraordinary unfairness to Donald Trump. Now, again, there are people on the left and people in the media who say, screw him. He must be stopped at all costs. And he lies so much. What does it matter? The calibration of her holding him accountable. And what I'm here to tell you is some of the things that happened in the last few days are extraordinarily unfair. Now, they may keep him from winning, or they may backfire, as a lot of the unfairness in the press does. But because we're every day, we're moving so quickly with such great velocity, it really troubles me to see people in my profession commit malpractice. I'm rooting for Donald Trump. I'm not predicting he'll win. I'm just telling you, The malpractice on the part of the press in treating Donald Trump unfairly is a shame. It's a shame. Okay.
He's not wrong. He's absolutely not wrong. Now, I want to go back to a question earlier from Intello. Do I think that Trump's Madison Square Garden rally hurt him? Not really. I think the Democrats are going to try and make hay out of it. They've been trying to make hay out of it, but I don't think it hurts him. I really don't. The election comes down to a very simple thing. Border security, crime related to that, inflation, jobs, the economy. If it comes down to those issues when people are voting, Donald Trump should win. He really should. And audio is soft. Sorry about that, TBA. I do apologize. I'll see what I can remedy in that. But yeah, I mean, even Halpern's recognizing this is a crack. And by the way, since we're going to talk about the Cheneys, may I respectfully point out the following? Someone put together a set of statistics related to the Iraq War, which Daddy Cheney was heavily involved with. Yeah, this is what neocon war hawking will get you. Almost 4,500 U.S. service members killed. Almost 33,000 were wounded. The casualty rate in Iraq was lower than Vietnam, and more wounded troops survived. An estimated 200,000 Iraqi civilians were killed, and many more were injured. Over 8,000 private contractors died while supporting U.S. troops. 179,000 UK service members were killed. 179 UK service members killed, 315 wounded. It's real easy to be a war hawk when you don't have to stare down the barrel of a gun. You know, WWG1 says, when you have time, find the desktop audio on your OBS or whatever you use and turn the slider up. It is way too hard when you play clips. Well, or whatever you use, turn up clips. All right, hang on a minute. Let me see what I can do here. Okay, tried that. Let me try this. Hang on a minute. Microphone access. Well, okay. I will have to do it. Sorry about that. I will do my best to get better sound out for you guys. My apologies. All right. But yeah, perfectly valid, perfectly fair questions. Truly. Sound, volume, speaker. Hang on, guys. I'm just looking at something real quick. Output. Oh. That might help. Let's try that. Okay. Is a media audio setting. Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Let's see if that helps in future. Bill Maher even recognized how crazy this was. Check this out and let me know if this comes out sounding any better, folks.
I woke up today to the headline that Trump had called for a firing squad for Liz Cheney. And this is what I really don't like about the media. No, he didn't. He did not. You don't have to move me to not like Donald Trump.
He says so many shitty things. Why do you have to do that? And by the way,
if people don't realize it, well, here's what he said. He's criticizing him for being a war hawk. I mean, she is Dick Cheney's daughter. He said, she's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her. Okay. Let's see how she feels about it. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, we'll send tens of thousands of troops right into the mouth of the enemy. Now, of course, he expresses himself horribly. He has to add she's a stupid person because he's a moron.
Trump knows what it's really like from Vietnam.
Okay. Just to be clear, this is exactly what hippies always said. This is exactly what peaceniks always said. This is Fortunate Son, the song. It's like, you know what? It's very easy to sit in your building and send young men to die. Apropos of Ukraine,
Yes.
because I don't know, that war doesn't look like it's going in the right direction.
Not at all. No.
But just so, you know, just don't lie to me. I don't like Donald Trump. Don't lie to me and tell me he wants in front of a firing squad. He was saying something that, by the way, if it came out of the mouth, some of it, not the stupid part, again, sounds like what hippies used to say
But
about
Bill,
not sending people to, yeah.
He's not wrong. He's absolutely right. He's totally right. What did Donald Trump say that people in the 1960s on the Democrat or the hippie side of the aisle wouldn't have otherwise said themselves? Maybe. You kind of see where you're going with that. But the point is otherwise perfectly valid. And by the way, I don't really think that Kamala Harris cozying up to Dick and Liz Cheney is going to help her in certain places. I got a clip here from the mayor of Dearborn Heights, Michigan. Okay. And Gypsy can speak to this one probably better than anybody. Dearborn has one of the largest Arab American populations in the country. Okay. The mayor of Dearborn endorsed Donald Trump. And if you want to hear his reasons why, do me a favor and check this out.
My name is Bill Bazzi, Mayor of Dearborn Heights. I just want to give a message to the people who are listening to this to make sure you vote for President Trump. We can't afford to have Harris to be a president. She has Liz Cheney as her military advisor, and I'm sure it's going to be the same as with her dad, sending thousands of troops overseas on a notion that there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And we sent a lot of troops over there, a lot of them killed, and over 1 million people killed for nothing. So they profited from the war in Iraq, and we will make sure that this does not happen. We need to vote for President Trump to bring peace, to make sure there's no wars. So please vote for President Trump. My name is Bill Bazzi.
Stop that. So yeah, there you go, folks. That might do it. Okay, let me try something one more time. I'm going to play this again. I just made an adjustment. Tell me if this sounds any better.
Mayor of Dearborn Heights. I just want to give a message to the people who are listening to this to make sure you vote for President Trump. We can't afford to have Harris to be a president. She has Liz Cheney as her military advisor, and I'm sure it's going to be the same as with her dad, sending thousands of troops overseas on a notion that there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And we sent a lot of troops over there, a lot of them killed, and over 1 million people killed for nothing. So they profited from the war in Iraq, and we will make sure that this does not happen. We need to vote for President Trump to bring peace, to make sure there's no wars. So please vote for President Trump.
Okay. Sound is working. Who says you can't teach an old hillbilly new tricks? All right. Finally figured out what's causing that little problem. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Now I'm feeling a whole lot better about my show. But yeah, I mean, and look, this is a good point. Most Arab communities surrounding Detroit are pro-Trump, not Stein and not Kamala. See, this is something I'm waiting to see on election night. Okay? I really am. I'm waiting to see, because Michigan, and I'll get into this here in a little bit. Michigan is the only one of the three wise men that's got me worried right now. And I know that sounds crazy for me to say. I ought to worry about every state in America, given that the Democrats are involved in the election. But when it comes to the three wise men, and for those of you who are new to the channel and you're not understanding what I'm talking about, my term for Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania are the three wise men, much like the three magi's in the Bible. The three wise men, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, almost always vote together. Very rarely do they ever vote the opposite of each other. There's only been 2 times in the past 50 years when those 3 states did not vote together. In other words, for example, George W. Bush wound up winning the 2000 presidential election, but Al Gore got Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Okay? That's what I mean. They always travel together. More often than not, they always vote together. But Michigan right now is the one state of the 3 that has me worried the most. Because I've got some reporting out of Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, some good, some bad. I'm going to be honest with y'all. But Michigan's the only one that worries me because there's not a whole lot of, and Gypsy, if you got anything on this, either anecdotal or otherwise, tell me because you're my Michigan contact, okay? Congratulations, you didn't know you were going to get that that job, but you get my point, okay? There's not a lot of data coming out of Michigan. I mean, stuff that you can put your hands on and analyze and put under the microscope and kind of look at and all that. That's the only one that's worrying me. But anecdotally, to go to Gypsy's point, and I'll put this back up here again, most Arab American communities surrounding Detroit are pro-Trump. They're not necessarily Stein, and they daggone sure ain't for Kamala. And that's why I'm wondering if all this, loving up on Liz and Dick Cheney by Kamala Harris, I'm just wondering if that's really going to help. So we'll see. I mean, but this whole rigmarole over Liz Cheney and, Trump supposedly wanting to have her put in front of a firing squad is the biggest load of bunkum. It is easily dismissible. Okay? So I just wanted to bring it to y'all's attention. I mean, granted, there are people out there way better than I am at this sort of thing, okay? But, now hang on, this is an interesting point. Did you know the Bible never mentions how many magi there were? We know there were 3 gifts, and we assume each was given by different people. Consider that your trivia for the day. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Oh, hold on to that, Gypsy. We're going to get to that, dear. Hold on. We're going to get to that. I got that one teed up. Okay. Hey, you guys caught me on a really good Saturday morning. I got up what was it? And I'm not saying this to humble brag. I'm telling you, I got up at about 6:30. Yeah, about 6:30 this morning. Threw on my Tony Soprano bathrobe. That's an image you just don't need to think about. Okay, threw on my Tony Soprano bathrobe. Came downstairs, and started sitting down at the computer. Started putting clips together. Started finding stuff. Yada yada yada. And I thought, man, I'm feeling really good this morning. There you go. Intello says, what's interesting about Musk voted for Bush in the 2000 elections? Well, that was a big yikes. Yeah, really. No, more like Tony Soprano. No, I can't do enough cocaine to be Tony Montana. That's just forget it. And no, not that I do cocaine. Okay, let me just dispel that one. No, more like Tony Soprano. I relate to him more than I would Tony Montana. Yeah, if you guys have never seen the movie Scarface by Brian De Palma, it's violent, but it's good. Which is probably the hallmark of a good Brian De Palma movie. So there you go. Anyway, just want to get into that subject about Liz Cheney and the barrel of a gun with you guys, just to kind of get your thoughts on it and see what you think. All right, with that, we're going to shift gears real quick. And since it's the bottom of the hour, let me do a real quick commercial. and we'll move on to our next subject. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and if you found your way to this live stream on Saturday morning, you have happened upon Front Porch Brunch. We get together on the weekends to discuss the news, things that are going on, yada, 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 and talk about what we think about it all. It's a fairly informal community. I don't have too many rules when it comes to this live stream or much professionalism, depending on how you look at it. But I have my basic rule is so long as you're respectful to each other, spirited debate is always allowed. Okay. And you can even take pot shots at the host because, I got up in the saddle expecting to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous internet fortune. But if you like this kind of thing that we do here and you're not subscribed to my channel already, why don't you do me a favor and give me a sub over on YouTube and Rumble? And while you're at it, you can also follow me on Twitter. You can find me there at the Front Porch C1. So give a sub, leave a comment in chat, hit the thumbs up, share the link around to your friends, and tell them, hey, you don't see too many men with enough bravery to wear a fedora on the internet, but this guy does. And not only does he have bravery and fashion sense, he's also got pretty good takes. You might want to give him a sub. That kind of commercial from you to your friends is always appreciated. All right. Let us shift gears. Oh, looky who just popped in. Chris from My Morning Mayhem. Good morning, y'all. Hopping in for a little bit between tasks. Can't stay long. Want to roll in and say, hey. Well, hey, y'all down there. And Georgia, you're looking pretty good. We got some commentary about you two here in a minute. So, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Okay. We recently celebrated Halloween, and there's all kinds of stuff going on in this election season, from the serious to the sublime, and even our holiday trick-or-treaters are getting into the political act. I found a cartoon, and I think it was Gypsy who shared this with me. And I just watched this, and I thought, this is just too daggone cute. And it kind of sets up our run through the polls and through the states that we're going to do. And with that, I want you guys to enjoy this. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Well, Intello, I don't know about those cringy Reddit weirdos, but I do thank you for the fact that you think I wear my fedora better than they do. Cringy Reddit weirdos. Whew, what a title to give those folks. Not that you're wrong, but if I were over on Reddit, I would not want to be known as a cringy weirdo. But if they've earned it, give it to them, as I say. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did, and it sets up for a transition to a discussion about national and state polls and news we're getting out of the respective states. So enjoy.
Hey, Ro, tell Miss Carnes who you are for Halloween.
Okay, see. Come on. When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough, and I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again. Woo!
I don't care who you are. That's pretty good. Exactly. The kid nails it. The kid absolutely nails it. Yeah, it's a spot on Hulk Hogan impersonation. I don't know who that kid is, but he's got a career in acting, baby. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Oh my gosh. Goodness me. I saw that. I was like, TBA says that kid's got panache. He absolutely has panache. I don't know what panache is, but he's got a whole lot of it, whatever panache is. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he's great. Absolutely great. That was fantastic. All right. Where are we right now? At least according to the public polling. All right. And again, I always take these with a grain of salt, or I try to, but the one thing I always try to look for is the pattern. Where are we? Okay. National. Trump, according to RCP average, is up by just a little over or a little under 0.5%. Okay. Now, again, it's not so much the polls as I'm looking at the trend line. Okay. And I want to show you guys something before we go any further with these polls. Okay. Take a look at this map. You will be seeing a lot of this map come Tuesday night on my channel because I think I have settled in my mind how I want to do the coverage. Okay. This little map is going to serve a lot to help. Okay. And by the way, I'm not, subscribed to anything special. If you want to play around with something like this, the website is YAP as in Paul, M as in Mary, S as in Sam. Okay. Matter of fact, I will drop the link to this thing in chat if you guys just want to play around with it. Now, obviously, the states in red we think are the ones that Donald Trump is going to win. States in blue belong to Harris. The ones that are gray are blank. Now, there is a current prevailing theory about where the race is right now. And the theory goes like this. Donald Trump is looking really good in the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt, in this case, being Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. I'm leaving Virginia blank for a reason. Now, I'll explain that here in a minute, okay? The one place that everybody has no idea yet, or let's just put it this way, there's not a whole lot of consensus about what's happening, are what I call lovingly the three wise men: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. But we've got some data on that, and not just data, some analytical stories. Now, the reason that I show you guys this map right now is to set up what may happen on election night, because I want to show you something. Let us just assume, for the sake of argument, that current prevailing wisdom is right. Trump takes Nevada, Arizona, Chris, your beloved Georgia, and North Carolina. Leave Virginia out of this for just a second. Okay? At that point, if everything else comes in the way it should, Donald Trump is sitting on 268 electoral votes. Let me say that again. If everything else comes in the way people are predicting that it will, and Trump takes Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, 4 of the 7 swing states, then he's sitting on 268. At that point, any one of the 3 wise men, and he becomes president. Now, let me flip that around for a second. Take these back off the board. No, wait a minute. I will keep them the way they were. Hang on. All right, now, watch this. If that wisdom is true, that the Sun Belt belongs to Trump, Harris's only hope of pulling this off is to sweep Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and take Virginia, and take New Hampshire. At that point, ladies and gentlemen, she will have 270 electoral votes. That would do it. Okay. Now, I've left New Hampshire and Virginia blank because, again, do I think that Donald Trump's going to win them on election night? No, but then again, I'm getting, and you guys are too, because everybody, right now, information is running around all over the place. Some of it's valid, some of it's not. We'll find out on election night together, okay? But I'm getting weird signals coming out of New Hampshire. I'm getting weird signals coming out of Virginia. I've got some people saying, ain't no way Trump wins Virginia. I got some people saying, "Man, look at this early vote data, and all these no propensity voters are coming out." I don't know, but if everything else held normal, and excuse me, didn't mean to take that one off the board. If she takes Virginia and she takes New Hampshire and sweeps Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, she's at 270 and she wins. Why is she at 270? I want you guys to take a look at this one little spot of blue right there. See that? That is Nebraska 2. Nebraska, much like Maine, allocates their electoral votes on the basis of how the candidate performs, not in the state overall, but in the congressional district. Okay? Most states in America are winner take all. You win the majority of the popular vote in the state, you get all the electoral votes. Maine and Nebraska are the only ones that do it on the basis of congressional district. All right? So that's where we're at. Now, where are we with each state? Well, remember what I said. The current prevailing theory says Trump is doing very well in the Sun Belt. Let's take a run through the polls. In Arizona, according to the Real Clear Politics average, Donald Trump is up 2.3%. She hasn't led in a poll in that state, except for with one exception, and that's CNN. And CNN cannot poll. They're so inaccurate, they couldn't hit a bull in the fanny if you gave them a bag of rice to throw at it. They couldn't hit anything. Okay? That's how bad CNN's pollster is. But laying aside that one, she has not led in a single solitary poll since the beginning of October where Arizona is concerned. Okay? Arizona? Intello, you have no idea. Believe me. You are so right with this statement. Okay? That's Arizona. Now, we do have some information coming out of Arizona, and I'll pop this up for the benefit of the good. By the way, and it's not necessarily information as much as it is anecdotal. Did you guys happen to see any or all of that Tucker Carlson event the other night? Nicole Shanahan, okay? Nicole Shanahan, who was Bobby Kennedy's running mate. I got to show you this. Check this out. This is kind of cool.
So, despite the novelty of seeing my name on here next to a bubble, I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
And by the way, folks, laying aside her high-pitched squeal, there's a lot of that going on in Arizona right now. According to the early returns, and again, with early vote, you have to take it with a very serious grain of salt because no one knows who anybody's voting for. Just because somebody requested a Republican ballot, just because somebody requested a Democrat ballot, doesn't necessarily mean they're voting for Trump or Harris, respectively. We don't know how they're going to vote until the votes are counted. But if you make the inference just on the basis of ballots requested and early votes taken, the Republicans feel really, really good about Arizona. Okay? And that would redound to the benefit of Kari Lake, who is locked in a knife fight of a Senate race out there against Ruben Gallego. So, we will see what we see. TBA just sent me something, and Lord, what have you done, TBA? Hang on a minute, guys. I got to check this out. Oh, yes. I mean, Donald Trump is working every angle out there in Arizona to try and get votes. Matter of fact, man, he's even going for the squirrel Americans. I'm just saying. He's even invoking Peanut's name, for heaven's sake. I don't know if this strategy is going to play out for him, but we'll see what happens for Trump in Arizona. But Arizona at this point is looking really good. You know, that's an interesting observation. I would have thought that too at one time, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, it might turn out that that it does want, but Arizona's got a very strange streak to it. People think of it as a Republican state, but it really goes back and forth. It's purplish red. I would argue it's purplish red more so than it's ruby red, if I may use that description. But I get where you're coming from on that. Okay. All right. That's Arizona. Georgia. Chris, I think you're going to enjoy this one. I think you're going to enjoy this. Georgia. According to the Real Clear Politics average of polls, Donald Trump has a 2.5-point lead in Georgia. Okay. And again, take these for what they're worth. All right. And that's Gypsy, that's a very fair point. You know, there's been a lot of that going on, and it is still on the books illegal to do that. Okay. So be careful. Matter of fact, best advice, just don't do it. Okay. Don't give them a reason, but I get where you're coming from. But anyway, back to Georgia. If you take the average, Trump with a 2.5-point lead. So take it for what it's worth. All right. That's Georgia. Now, here's the one I want to spend some time talking about for a few minutes. I said that there's one state out of the 7 battlegrounds, and more particularly what we here on the front porch refer to as the 3 wise men, that's worrying me more than anybody else, and it's this: Michigan. If you take the average of the Real Clear Politics polls that have been done for Michigan, Harris has like just under a 1-point lead. Now, I don't know quite what to make of this. And here's why I say that. We're going to get to Pennsylvania and Wisconsin here in a minute, okay? But typically, those 3 states almost always vote together. Now, it might be by the slimmest of margins, but they vote together. Like I said, there's only been 2 times in the past 50 years that Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania don't vote together. One of them was in 1988, and the other one was 1976. They almost always vote together. So I don't know. And the reason I say I don't know, if I were just looking at the polls, I'd say, yeah, okay, Harris is probably going to win Michigan. But there is so much conflicting information that's going on right now. For example, and Gypsy teed this up a few minutes ago. This is from CNN. This just broke yesterday. Now listen to this. Harris campaign ads amplify different parts of her message on Gaza and Israel in Michigan and Pennsylvania. This is from CNN's Andrew Kaczynski, and we've got the following. Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign is micro-targeting voters in Pennsylvania and Michigan by amplifying different parts of her message on Israel and Gaza, highlighting how her campaign is navigating the thorny issue that has divided key parts of the Democrat coalition. Ads running in Pennsylvania, where undecided Jewish voters could factor into the state's outcome, highlight how she will stand up for Israel's right to defend itself. Meanwhile, ads targeted in Michigan, with its large Arab American population, highlight how she will not be silent about the human suffering occurring in Gaza. Facebook advertisements aimed at voters in Pennsylvania play a video of her speech at the DNC defending Israel. Quote, "And let me be clear," Harris says in the ad, "I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Gaza caused on October 7, including unspeakable sexual violence and the massacre of young people at a music festival. And know this, I will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend our forces and our interest against Iran and Iran-backed terrorists," Harris says. But edited from those ads are 2 paragraphs from her speech. Between those lines that highlight the suffering in Gaza, which she called heartbreaking. At the same time, Harris is running multiple Facebook ads targeting voters in Michigan, highlighting portions of her other speeches where she mentioned the suffering in Gaza. Quote, "What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating," Harris says in the ad. "Our common humanity compels us to act." The ad quotes from another speech. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Now, CNN uses a very highfalutin term, amplifying different parts of her message. Now, I'm kind of old-fashioned, and I'm very old school, and I can be very plain-spoken. Where I come from, that's what you call talking out both sides of your mouth. Okay? And this, if she goes on to lose the election in general, or Michigan in particular, this is in part why I think it's going to happen to her, okay? Look, and it doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or any other candidate for whatever office. People want you to take a stand, okay? They may not agree with your stand, but they want you to take a stand, okay? You know, or as we say here in West Virginia, are you for it or agin it? You know, are you for it or are you agin it? Where are you on this Israel thing? Are you for Israel or are you against Israel? Are you for Gaza? Are you against Gaza? You get my point? People want to know where you stand. Now, I could just hear it right now by all you lefties out there that watch this live stream, and y'all know you do, you just don't want to admit it. Well, that's not a very nuanced position, don't you think? I mean, there are so many different permutations and angles to this particular situation that one must take a very balanced and informed, intellectual sort of stance on this matter. Hogwash. Okay? You had a bunch of terrorists who came over from the Gaza Strip, crossed the border into Israel, and massacred thousands of people. Took a bunch of hostages, went back across the border with them, and they're holding them hostage to try and get Israel to do certain things. That's called terrorism. And yes, the people of the Gaza Strip are suffering because of Hamas. I don't disagree with that, but this is a pretty cut and dry issue. Okay? It's pretty straightforward to me. I don't know what anybody else thinks about it, but that's where I come from. Okay? Intello, you probably say it with far more eloquence than I do, but yeah, you are spot on, my friend. Spot on. Oh yeah, she is terrible. She's terrible. I agree with you. Can't disagree at all with you, Professor. Well, thank you. I appreciate that compliment. We like folks who lean to the left. We like folks who lean to the right. We like folks right down the middle. You know, like I say, you're at liberty to disagree with me if you wish. That's perfectly fine. The professor says she's defying her own base with a pro-Israel comment and barely conciliatory towards her base with the Palestinians. Yeah, this again. If she loses Michigan, the way she's trying to walk the tightrope on this one, I think is going to turn people off. I mean, you got Donald Trump, and as a matter of fact, I've got an article here right now. Let me pull this thing up. You got an article, and you can find this anywhere. Donald Trump goes into Dearborn, Michigan yesterday. Okay? He's hanging out with the mayor. He's hanging out at the coffee shops, and as opposed to being booed right out of the place, they like him. He likes it. Hey, Mikey, check this out from Breitbart. Trump gets warm welcome in majority Arab Dearborn, Michigan. Headline from Joel Pollack. Former President Donald Trump became the first major party presidential candidate to visit Dearborn, Michigan on Friday, venturing into the majority Arab and predominantly Muslim town, which had once been hostile territory. Trump's message there was simple. He's asking for the people's vote and is promising peace in the Middle East. A little further into this article, the former president received a raucous welcome inside a restaurant with fans shouting, "The best president ever." Journalists following Trump shouted questions, "What about the Muslim ban?" One of them yelled, referring to Trump's travel ban on terror-prone states, which was never a Muslim ban. It was an idea he proposed on the campaign trail in 2015, but then discarded. "There was never a Muslim ban," a Trump supporter shouted as he ignored the question. Quote, "You're going to have peace in the Middle East, not with the clowns that are running the U.S. right now," Trump said. He also said that he was determined to bring about an end to the ongoing war in Lebanon, reiterating a promise he made earlier this week. Israel has reportedly begun talks about a ceasefire after major battlefield successes. Trump senses an opportunity with Arab and Muslim voters, which first soured on President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris due to frustration over the war in Gaza, then began, however improbably, to consider the staunchly pro-Israel Trump as an alternative, believing that even if he backed Israel, he could put a stop to the war. Harris courted the mayor of Dearborn, whose views are radical and even anti-Semitic, and he ended up endorsing no one. Many Arab and Muslim voters also support Republican positions on social issues and on the economy as well. Michigan is a key battleground state, with a few votes in either direction could affect the outcome on November the 5th. And Joel Pollack is spot on with this, by the way. And Pollack, for the record, is Jewish himself. But you got Donald Trump going into Dearborn, Michigan, and the people in Dearborn are like, "I'm down with that cat." See, this is what I'm saying. I can't get a read on what's going on in Michigan. And that's no disrespect to your beloved Michigan, Gypsy. Don't get me wrong. I can't tell you what I think's really going on. I got a suspicion. I can't prove it yet, but I got a suspicion. I think I know what's going to happen, but we'll see come election night. But that's Michigan. That's where we're at here. Okay. All right. What else have we got going on? And again, if you guys have got info, takes, whatever, on whatever respective battleground state, drop it in. Like I say, we're here sharing what we've got. I'll bring you information that I find. If you find something and you want to pass it on to everybody, let's have it. Let's see. Yeah, the imams the other day. Oh, yeah, threat to democracy. Yeah, Trump goes into Michigan. These imams come up on stage. They're telling people, "We're endorsing Trump. We're telling you to vote for him." You don't think that's not going to have an impact? Now, how much of an impact? We don't know. Well, yeah, it is really hard to get a feel for what's, and again, it's nothing against your state, Gypsy. We love you dearly and love Michigan. But if someone says, "What do you think is going to happen in Michigan?" I don't know yet. I just can't tell you. I think I know. Am I going to live stream the election day and night? Well, unlike the boys from the Lotus Eaters, okay, who went like 10 hours, I think, covering the British elections, I will be live streaming here starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. And, I'm going to have various folks popping in. Ruben's agreed to host with me for a while. Tracy Barkley's going to be here. I'm going to be reaching out to some people this weekend to see if they would like to stop by, even if it's for a little while. Would love to have them just pop in and just say hello. Because it's going to be, look, I can't speak for Ruben in this, but I'll just speak for myself. I'm going to be here. And you guys could go anywhere else on the internet. If you did, I respect you totally. But we're going to be here trying to provide information, have some fun with it. I actually started working on some graphics that I think are, they're simple, but they're fairly nice. And we'll try and put together a nice, information-based show for you guys. And, we'll just have some fun with it, And, we'd love to have you here for it. But to answer your question, Intello, I will be streaming this thing for sure. As a matter of fact, I've got the day off and I got the next day off too, because I'll probably need that to recover from Tuesday night. in one form or another. All right, that's Michigan. Nevada. I said that many people feel that Trump is doing very well in the Sun Belt. Well, their evidence, Nevada, according to the Real Clear Politics average of polls, Trump has a 1.5 point lead in Nevada. And by the way, folks, Donald Trump has never taken Nevada. In two previous presidential runs, he has never won Nevada. And people who are monitoring information coming out of Nevada as far as like early vote and etc., they are very optimistic about Nevada. Now, again, take it for what it's worth, but Nevada's looking good. We won't know until we know, but people are getting less and less worried about Nevada of all places, which makes me wonder just how big of a shift are we going to have from the 2020 election results to 2024. That's what I'm waiting to see. That's going to be extraordinarily interesting. All right, North Carolina, a state at Midmo, completely fair point. Completely fair point. How overwhelmed the polls are that they feel they need to shut them down. Why the hell did they not get this way in years past? Straight up election. Yeah, ain't disagreeing with you. Ain't disagreeing with you at all. All right, North Carolina, a state that everybody wondered what Hurricane Helene would do. Trump with a 1.5 point lead. And again, with the exception of one CNN poll, there has not been a poll that Kamala Harris has led in North Carolina for almost the entire month of October. Now, to go back to the chart that we had put together a moment ago, put it to you this way, folks. All things being equal, if these trends are, and let me say it this way, if these trends are indeed correct, and Trump knocks out Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, he's sitting on 268, all other things being equal. Just keep that in mind. All right. What else have we got? We've looked at North Carolina. Now let's go to one of the big ones. One of the last of the big ones. Pennsylvania. It's all about Pennsylvania. We're all about Pennsylvania. It's all about Pennsylvania. Oh my God, Pennsylvania. For the past year and a half, everybody's been saying it's all going to come down to Pennsylvania. No, to quote the Gershwin brothers, it ain't necessarily so. And I will explain that here in just 1 minute. But for Pennsylvania, this is where we're at. Trump with just under a 0.5 point lead in the average. Okay. Now, Pennsylvania has been a hotbed of stuff going on now for days and weeks, months, year, whatever you want to call it. Some good and some bad. For example, Scott Pressler, who, if Donald Trump does go on to win Pennsylvania, Scott Pressler is a hero. An absolute, well, he's a hero anyway, but he ought to be remembered as a hero for what he did in the Keystone State. And Pressler was even working it. Hey, if you voted mail-in and you want to check it out, here's a link to do that. So if you got friends in Pennsylvania and they voted early, or they did in-person voting or whatever, and they want to check on the status of their ballot, here you go, folks. Here's something you can share with them if they have Twitter. But Pressler's like, hey man, check the ballot status, make sure the ballot's received. I mean, that boy is just absolutely working it. I mean, he's going to sleep for 3 days when this is all said and done. And we got some good news out of Pennsylvania. You pop this up here. Compliments of Mike Davis of the Article 3 Project. Don't know if you guys heard about this. Major win for GOP Pennsylvania in election integrity. A few days ago, 3 Democrat judges on the Pennsylvania Appellate Court struck down the date requirement for mail-in ballots again. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court just stayed the ruling and put the date requirements back into effect. This makes it harder for Democrats to cheat, so on and so forth. That was from yesterday at around 6:50. So just trying to bring as much updated information as I can get my hands on. Okay. What else have we got? Now, there is some, to be fair, there is some bad news going on. Well, shouldn't say some. There is bad news. And this is from justthenews.com. Voter registration fraud investigations point to Arizona group with ties to left-leaning organizations. 5 Pennsylvania counties are investigating possible fraudulent voter applications and mail-in ballot applications in the days and weeks leading up to the election. Article by Natalia Middlestat. We've got the following. Evidence from voter registration application fraud cases has stunned Pennsylvania over the past week, leading all the way to Arizona in a private for-profit industry that tries to register voters across the country and has increasingly raised legal concerns. As counties in Pennsylvania have investigated fraudulent voter applications, one group from Arizona has been of particular interest as it works out of Lancaster County, which is home to large Amish population that both political parties have courted leading up to the presidential election. 5 Pennsylvania counties are investigating possible voter fraud applications and mail-in ballot applications in the days and weeks leading up to the election. So, there you go. What else have we got out of Pennsylvania? Oh. Got to get into something. And this isn't necessarily just Pennsylvania related, but it's been a bit of a worry among people ever since this got started. But it definitely applies to Pennsylvania. Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA. Like him, not like him, whatever, that's fine. But he posted something on Twitter the other day that just absolutely took off like a rocket. And again, you would kind of expect that in this environment where everybody is just, every piece of information is now being dissected, microanalyzed, whatever. All right. So take it for what it's worth. Charlie Kirk posted the following. Early vote has been disproportionately female. If men stay at home, Kamala is president. It's that simple. If you want a vision of the future, if you don't vote, imagine Kamala's voice cackling forever. Men need to go vote now. And like I said, everybody picked up on that comment, went, oh my God, the men aren't voting. I mean, Cernovich got a hold of it. Women are voting early. They're outperforming men. The current MAGA cope is men vote on election day. Not in 2020, they didn't. Especially not young men who listen to podcasts like Joe Rogan. They don't vote. Get them out this time. Now, to clarify exactly what he meant, Charlie Kirk appeared on Steve Bannon's War Room and explained exactly what he was getting to. And I want to play the full explanation just for you so you guys can hear it. So with that, take a listen to the following.
They totally misunderstood what I was saying. So first of all, he's wrong. The early voting numbers are actually incredibly robust in many of these states, and we're hitting historic margins. We're doing far better than we would have ever imagined. There's just one element, and we anticipated this, and I intentionally tweeted what I did because the data shows it, is that men need to show up on Tuesday. Now, Steve, understand, men almost always resist early voting. They are either very preoccupied with their jobs, they're not as trusting of mail-in voting, and they are traditionalists. They want to go in person and vote on election day. Men heavily favor an election day emphasis. And so the entire civilization is going to be dependent on whether or not men show up on Tuesday. And so that is worthy of mentioning every single day and twice on Sunday, right, Steve? Because the whole movement here, this ascendant movement, will be made or broken on low propensity voting men. The data shows that they do plan to vote on Tuesday. And the map is shrinking for us, which is great. And the map is expanding for Kamala Harris, which is not so great, meaning she has to defend more places, and we're able to now marshal our resources. Just think about this, Steve. Back in 2020, Donald Trump, the weekend before the election, was doing rallies in Florida and Iowa and Ohio. He has not touched those states in the last 5 months, except maybe like a rally at Trump Doral. The point being is that our map has shrunk, where he's been able to spend so much time in Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. And the way that the current early voting trends are going in Georgia, the Democrats are not seeing black turnout where they need it to be. In North Carolina, we're actually beating them in early voting for the first time ever since the beginning of early voting. We still need to have a really big election day. And then it's really all eyes on Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania, it needs to be a working class male tsunami on Tuesday. It's that simple. And everybody watching, the way it works in Pennsylvania, you build a firewall. You mentioned this earlier. This mail-in ballot firewall. It's right near 400,000 votes, like 384,000 votes. And that firewall is actually going down because we're doing better in late returns. And then everything is on election day. So let me put a number on it. If 2.5 million MAGA faithful or 2.5 million Trump supporters show up on Tuesday, Donald J. Trump is president in Pennsylvania. I mean, he wins Pennsylvania, he'll win North Carolina, he'll win Georgia, and Steve, by midnight. And I'm not one to proclaim that, Steve. I've never been that direct with, if this happens, that happens. We now have the number. The number is 2.5 million. That's the number. 2.5 million of our people. Now, that doesn't count macro turnout. The Democrats know it. And that's why they're trying these dirty tricks of voter suppression and trying to get people to stay at home and these fake polls and all that. The men of Pennsylvania, of Altoona, of Butler, of Erie, in Luzerne County, in Bucks County, the muscular class of Pennsylvania, if you guys rise up on Tuesday, Donald J. Trump becomes president. They totally misunderstood what I was saying. So first of all,
now, take it for what it's worth. I'm just saying this is his explanation for what he meant. I'm not so sure about his number 2.5 million. But I'm not a numbers cruncher either. But there is one more thought about this whole men aren't voting yet, and this comes from Robert Barnes. So again, take it for what it's worth. He does bring up what may be a very valid point, and it's this. GOP-leaning men prefer to vote in person. Okay, so on that point, he does agree with Charlie Kirk. See People's Pundit polling on this. The only underperforming voting group in early voting compared to 2020 is actually Democrat-leaning young black men. Okay. So, again, we'll see what actually happens here. TBA says, hey, Brian, what if Space Force is using this election as a sting operation to catch all the election cheaters? Are we going to launch them into space or something? I don't know. We'll see. Also says 4 counties in Georgia caught violating state law in early voting. Cheating is now visible. Oh, yeah. And the GOP has brought suit to try and bring that to a halt because the Secretary of State, Ratzenberger, is allowing polling places in Fulton County to open up, to allow for voting today, which is in violation of Georgia law. And immediately the GOP jumped on that. And again, we're not going to know until we know on election night. There's good news out there and there's bad news out there. So I'm trying to be level-headed about it and take it all with a grain of salt. So, all right, that's Pennsylvania. Now, here's the one that may make Pennsylvania irrelevant. I said a moment ago Everybody talks about Pennsylvania, 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 Pennsylvania. They've been talking about Pennsylvania for the past year and a half. But what if Donald Trump doesn't need Pennsylvania to win? Go back to the map for a second. Remember, if Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina come in, Trump only needs one state. It could be any one of the three wise men that would do it. Maybe it is Michigan. Maybe it's Pennsylvania. But what if it were just Wisconsin? Because remember, and this is the trick for Kamala Harris, if this map is correct, she must, and I say must, sweep all three of those states to win. Okay? Well, and that, okay. That Bravo Sierra is the Nebraska legislature not having the balls to change their state law. They didn't even need a constitutional amendment, Minmo. Okay? They didn't even need a constitutional amendment. All they would have had to have done is passed a bill in the state legislature to make Nebraska winner take all, and her path to victory would have been cut off. You know why? Watch this. Let's just assume for a moment that Nebraska had gone winner take all. And just assume for the sake of argument, you have a tie at 269. And it would have gone to the House. The Bravo Sierra that you're referring to is something that I mentioned a little bit earlier. And it's this. Nebraska apportions their electoral votes on the basis of how you perform in the individual congressional districts. Okay? That's why she's even got a path to victory. So in order for her to win, again, assuming that Trump takes Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, she must, and I say must, sweep Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Now, that gets back to my original question. Everybody's talking about Pennsylvania, 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 Pennsylvania. What if she wins Pennsylvania but still doesn't win the presidency? That is a very distinct possibility. And I'll show you why. And it basically comes down to this. Here is the Real Clear Politics average of all the polls in Wisconsin. Okay? Now, to look at that, you'd look at it and say, oh man, on average, she's winning. Yeah. But this is one of those states where there's more information coming out than maybe what we actually know yet. I've got something here, and I just found it this morning. I want to share it with you guys. It is Wisconsin specific. Okay. These are Wisconsin's swing county updates, and they are a comparison between 2020 results and 2024 election or absentee modeled. Okay, so again, we don't know yet how these people actually voted, but people are making certain inferences based on early vote and absentee. In 2020, this county, Sauk, went to Joe Biden just by a hair. Now look what's happened 4 years later. That's like a 16-point turnaround. In Door County, 2020, again, this county barely went to Joe Biden. In 2024, big-time turnaround. Greene County, again, went to Joe Biden by 3 points. On the basis of information we've got right now, it swung about 11 points to Donald Trump. And the same goes all the way down the line here. Portage is the last one they list. Barely went to Joe Biden. Turn around now and maybe going to Donald Trump. Last time the Dems won't have last cycle, the Dems won these swing counties, but we're taking them back. Let's keep them up and swamp them out. And again, take it for what it's worth. I'm trying to just keep it level here. But I'm not the only one that's come to the conclusion that she might be in trouble in Wisconsin. Mark Halperin, I got a clip here and I want to play it for you guys. And again, take it for what it's worth. I'm just passing on information. But there is a scenario, conceivably, where she wins Pennsylvania and still loses the presidency. And with that, here's Mark Halperin on what he's hearing in Wisconsin.
Okay. First of all, revelation for me today regarding the battleground states. It remains the base case that Vice President Harris is unlikely to win, according to my sources in both parties. Not sure thing, but unlikely to win Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona. If she doesn't win those 3 states, she must sweep Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. As forecast here a long time ago, it appears that she's basically back to where Joe Biden was on the eve of the debate. 1 electoral college path to exactly 270 electoral votes. So our intense focus for the rest of the way will be to continue to monitor to see whether she can actually win North Carolina, Georgia, or Arizona. Does not appear to my sources now that she will. Can she win the 3 Great Lakes states? And the focus has been on Pennsylvania. Here on this platform, we did a 2-hour show called It's All About Pennsylvania. And what I'm here to tell you tonight, based on my reporting with Democrats and Republicans nationally and in both those states, that it could be that Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania but loses the White House because she loses Wisconsin. Michigan remains a bit of a puzzle. Both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are doing dueling rallies near each other in Wisconsin tonight. Fitting, as far as I'm concerned, for my reporting, because as I said, my reporting is that she's in trouble in Wisconsin. This is based on 3 sources, 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat, all of whom know the state quite well, and all of whom told me today the same version of they would be somewhere between surprised and shocked if Kamala Harris won Wisconsin. Okay? Doesn't mean
Again, take it for what it's worth. I'm just passing on what I'm hearing, but I could see that happening. There's been a lot of information. Matter of fact, Rich Barris, our favorite pollster here on the Electronic Front Porch, will back up what Halperin is saying. Fact check. True. Reason. Turnout is way up in red areas of Wisconsin more than the blue areas. Internal polls that showed Harris down in Wisconsin by as much as 4 points, and Republicans doing better with late registrations and low propensity voters. But again, we've seen polls in elections this entire millennia suggest one candidate could win one of these 3 states but lose the other, and it just didn't happen. The candidates swept them all. Polls be damned. Okay. Take it for what it's worth. And so that's where we are with that. Now there are some interesting tidbits, and these are what I call the fallout from certain things that have already happened. Got a report here, and I'm just passing this along, so take it for what it's worth. But this relates to Joe Biden and the remainder of the campaign. Check this out.
While Harris campaigns in Wisconsin, President Biden was hundreds of miles away talking to union workers in Philadelphia at an official event. Tonight, Fox News has learned multiple campaign calls that were publicly advised on the president's schedule for yesterday afternoon were canceled as he faces continuing fallout over his garbage comment on a Zoom earlier this week. None of the calls that had been scheduled were officially sanctioned by or affiliated with the Harris campaign, and Biden has no official campaign events on his schedule ahead of the election, Brett.
So basically, as I understand it, they've basically taken him off the campaign trail. Again, take it for what it's worth. He might just get out of the White House and go do something crazy. But at least according to certain reporting, Biden's not going to be out there doing much, if anything, for Harris going forward. And not just Biden, by the way. We talked about Mark Cuban's wonderful comment the other night about, Trump doesn't like being around strong, independent women. Well, apparently, sources are now revealing that Kamala Harris has told Cuban to stop speaking on her behalf. So there you go, folks. Cuban apparently has been sidelined too. And the hits just keep on coming. Oh, goodness me. As far as, closing messages, the other night, Kamala Harris had Cardi B speak on her behalf. And that went over really well. You want to listen in on some of this? Check this out. Sans the teleprompter.
I believe in every word that comes out of her mouth.
That's a big mistake.
She's passionate. She's compassionate. She shows empathy. And most of all, she is not delusional.
But you might be.
Yeah. Kamala recognized that this country is at risk, that the economy needs to get stronger, that the cost of food and the cost of living is too high.
And who's been in the White House for the past 4 years?
It's even high for me. I believe her when she says, under her, buying eggs and milk won't break the bank. Because she's going to pass a ban on price gouging on groceries. And she told me that in my face. So she better not lie to me in my face.
Honey, I got bad news for you. She lie in your face. She lie in anybody's face. And given your supposed previous profession, you ought to know when someone's lying to you, honey. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, I'm not going to comment on that sort of thing. I leave that to you guys. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I can't disagree with that one, Seabass. TBA says, I'm sorry, but that whole clip looks CJ. No, that was from a Harris rally. I mean, again, take it for, just saying. Trump, on the other hand, has a closing message for the American people. And this was from, where was this? Was this Michigan or was this Wisco last night? Hang on a minute. Trump's closing message sounds a little bit like this. Check it out, folks.
Kamala's closing message to America is that she hates you. There's got to be something there. I think she does. I do believe, don't forget, she's from San Francisco. She's a Marxist, or as you would say, a communist from San Francisco. She destroyed the greatest city in the country, probably. It's probably the best city in the country was. My closing message is that I love America, and I'm inviting you to join us in building an extraordinary future for our nation. My oath of office is an oath of allegiance to you, the American people, and I'm asking for your vote, but I want you to know that whether or not you vote for me, when I win, I will fight for you with every breath in my body. I will.
3 rallies today, 3 rallies on Sunday, and 4 rallies on Monday. And as I understand it, the last rally is going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So for all you Michiganders in the audience, there you go. He's going to be in Salem, Virginia today, which getting weird information out of Virginia. So take that for what it's worth, but we'll see. And as far as, what the future may look like, oh, goodness. Somebody put out an ad the other day, and I think it was up in Connecticut that shared this one with me. And somebody got some, I don't want to describe this ad. I'll tell you what, let's do it this way. I'm going to show this, and you guys tell me what you think of it.
We weren't always like this. We had a beautiful life. The best parties. The most beautiful friends. We thought it was just another election. So a lot of us didn't vote. Why bother? Everyone knew the system was rigged. Many of us even voted for them. I know it sounds crazy now, But we didn't like Democrats back then. We were angry about the vaccine mandates and how they handled the war in Gaza and the way they wanted to censor free speech on the internet.
They want unquestioned obedience.
So what did we end up doing? We voted for the guys who openly said they wanted to imprison dissenters and use the military against their political opponents. So yeah, we were wrong on that. Big time. When Trump got sick and died, Vance was 39 years old when he became president. 30 years later, he's still president today. And with the Supreme Court on his side, they gave him dictatorial powers. They took away women's reproductive rights, outlawed contraception, and removed the minimum wage. Then we had repression of dissent, AI surveillance of everything we did or said on a level we couldn't imagine. The government under Vance, Peter Thiel, and Elon Musk set up concentration camps for illegal immigrants, then legal immigrants, then even homeless people. They finally admitted climate change was real, but it was too late. Florida sank into the Gulf and the West burned, and cities across the country became uninsurable, then uninhabitable. Musk and Thiel poured all of our resources into artificial intelligence so they and their friends could become immortal. I don't know what happened to them, but I know what happened to us.
Now that has got to be, yeah, somebody came up with this. Let's see. Yeah, from a group called seedthevote.org. Yeah. Yeah. WWG1 says, that is well done piece of shit. Yeah. Yeah. This is what we're up against, folks. That kind of, not so much even a political movement, that kind of mentality. You know. Yeah. Yeah. I came. Chris from the Morning Mayhem says, made it back in time to see whatever the hell that was. These people are loons. That's what they really think. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, tell you what, it's about 12:30. Let's shift gears, and we will head into the HodgePodge stew section of the show. And let me do a real quick commercial before we do that. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. And we are here on Front Porch Brunch, a fun little live stream we do on the weekends, talking to each other about news, giving our views, sharing, that sort of thing. And we've now reached the point in the discussion where we have entered what's called HodgePodge Stew. HodgePodge Stew are those stories that don't get nearly the attention that they should, but they are kind of important or funny or what have you. And found a few of them. Christian, I will shoot that one over to you. I'll shoot it to you, brother, as soon as I'm done with the show. And these stories are always kind of interesting or funny or what have you. And I thought I'd share them with you. So let's go back to Biden's garbage comment. You know how everybody said that Joe was, they're taking him out of context. That's not really what he said. There was an apostrophe in there. He was actually talking about the speaker at Madison Square Garden, that sort of thing. Yeah, well, turns out they actually violated the law. From the Associated Press, White House altered remarks on Biden's garbage comment despite stenographer concerns. Article by Amir Madini and Zeke Miller. We've got the following. White House press officials altered the official transcript of a call in which President Joe Biden appeared to take a swipe at supporters of Donald Trump, drawing objections from the federal workers who document such remarks for the posterity, according to 2 U.S. government officials and an internal email obtained Thursday by the Associated Press. Biden created an uproar earlier this week with his remarks to Latino activists responding to racist comments at a Trump rally made by comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, who was referring to the U.S. island territory of Puerto Rico as, quote, a floating island of garbage. Biden, according to the official transcript prepared by White House stenographers, told the Latino group on Tuesday in a video call, quote, the only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. It's un-American. The transcript released by the White House press office, however, rendered the quote with an apostrophe, reading supporters rather than supporters, plural, which aides said pointed to Biden criticizing Hinchcliffe, not the millions of Americans who are supporting Trump for president. The change was made after the White House press office conferred with the president, according to an internal email from the head of the stenographer's office that was obtained by the AP. The authenticity of the email was confirmed by 2 government officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal matters. The supervisor in the email called the press office handling of the matter a breach of protocol and spoliation of transcript integrity between the stenography and press offices. Quote, if there is a difference in interpretation, the press office may choose to withhold the transcript but cannot edit it independently, the supervisor wrote. Our stenography office transcript released to our distro, which includes the National Archives, is now different than the version edited and released to the public by press office staff. Editing of the transcript came as the White House scrambled to respond to a wave of queries from reporters about Biden's comments. The president's remarks clashed with Vice President Kamala Harris's near-simultaneous speech outside the White House, in which she called for treating Americans of differing ideologies with respect. The Trump campaign quickly moved to fundraise off the quote, and the next day, Trump himself held a photo op inside a garbage truck to capitalize on Biden's criticisms. That is a very good point. A very good point indeed. Do not piss off the White House stenographers. Indeed, you are correct, madam. Now, a couple of yes, I got to get into this one. Did you guys hear about the kerfuffle that went down the other day between Jonathan Capehart of the Washington Post and Hugh Hewitt? Now, for those of you who don't know anything about Hugh Hewitt is a longtime political writer. He's been around for years. I became familiar with him back in the 90s, if I remember correctly. And he's very old school. He's very even down the middle, not necessarily what you call any kind of a MAGA supporter, but he's pretty much a straight-laced, straight down the middle kind of reporter. It's like, let's tell what the news actually is. He's made commentary over the years. He's been a writer. He's been a columnist. He's been in a number of different things. He's been a moderator of presidential debates, primary debates particularly. And the other day, he was on with Jonathan Capehart and another individual from the Washington Post. And Hugh Hewitt, for lack of a better way of saying it, lost his shite on Jonathan Capehart and stormed off the live stream that he was on. If you guys haven't seen this, this is something to watch. And let me tell you something. I've never had much use for Jonathan Capehart of the Washington Post, but he acts like a prissy little prima donna in this. And I think you're going to understand why I say that when you watch the clip. And with that, here you go.
Is it me, or does it seem like this week Donald Trump is laying the groundwork for contesting the election by complaining that cheating was taking place in Pennsylvania by...
Now, look at Hugh Hewitt's reaction before we even really get... He's already rolling his eyes, and he knows what's coming. He's already getting torqued. Let us continue.
Suing Bucks County for alleged irregularities, and this is on top of his continual assertion that if he loses it's because of cheating.
Yeah, that's what he's been laying the groundwork for this, just not in the last week, but in the last umpty-ump months. No election can be fair unless in Donald Trump's mind, unless Donald Trump wins it. And I think we are going to see him both rev up his supporters to contest elections outside of courtrooms and go to every courtroom he can in America where it's relevant to make whatever arguments he can, no matter how far-fetched. We saw
Jonathan, I've got to
last time, but it didn't work out this time.
Finish,
It may not work. That may not happen this time. And now I'll let you go, Hugh.
Well, I've just got to say, we're news people, even though we're at the opinion section. It's got to be reported. Bucks County was reversed by the court and instructed to open up extra days because they violated the law and told people to go home. So that lawsuit was brought by the Republican National Committee, and it was successful. The Supreme Court ruled that Glenn Youngkin was successful. We are news people, even though we have opinions, and we have to report the whole story if we bring up part of the story. So yes, he's upset about Bucks County, but he was right, and he won in court. That's the story.
Okay, now I got to stop right here for 1 second. Take a look at the prissy acting expression on Jonathan Capart's face. Okay? He's not happy with any of this. All right? And by the way, Hugh Hewitt is absolutely right. They might have opinions, and he's completely fair to point this out. They might have opinions, but the news is the news, and you've got to report it that way. Okay? Now with that, here's what happens next.
I'll let you keep going, Jonathan.
No, I don't appreciate being lectured about reporting when Hugh, many times you come here saying lots of things that aren't.
I will.
And here it comes.
Come back, Jonathan. I'm done. I'm done. This is the most unfair election ad I have ever been a part of. You guys are working. That's fine. I'm done.
So, Ruth, you wrote a column this week ending with this line, and actually, I think this is perfect. We're going to put it on the screen. You wrote, "You want to know the stakes of this election? Not only democracy, but decency." Talk more about that, Ruth.
Okay, I'm collecting myself.
Oh, Ruth froze.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you deserve, you bum. Look, Hugh Hewitt, and again, I may agree with him, disagree with him, whatever, but Hugh Hewitt, generally speaking, is one of the most even-handed people among the reporting community that you'll ever find. I don't blame him for getting mad at Jonathan Capehart. I mean, Hugh Hewitt pointed out something that was extremely reasonable. Look, we might have our opinions about the news, but the news is the news. Let's report it for what it is. Donald Trump saw something he didn't agree with. He thought it was unlawful. He went into court in Bucks County, and he won. And then you've got that prissy acting Jonathan Capehart saying, "I don't appreciate being lectured to by you when you come on here and said things that were factually incorrect." Yeah, well, I don't blame Hugh Hewitt. As a matter of fact, it got so bad, and I don't have the article pulled up here to prove it, but it's now out in the press. Hugh Hewitt has resigned from the Washington Post over this. Now, granted, he wasn't necessarily doing a whole lot of work for them anyway. By his own admission, he was contributing a column like maybe once every 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. But he's like, I'm done. I'm done with this. And you now start to wonder why Jeff Bezos is making the moves he's making at the Washington Post, which we can get into that story some other time. All right, what else have we got here in the way of news? Oh, Christian, you will appreciate this. Lily Tang is running for a congressional seat up in New Hampshire. Okay. And she's running against a lady who happens to be married to Jake Sullivan of the White House. Yes, the National Security Advisor's wife is running for a congressional seat in New Hampshire. Well, they had a televised debate on WMUR. Okay. And I tell you what, I knew a little bit about Lily Tang before this debate. I mean, I'd heard her name. I'd heard her speak on War Room, among other things. Christian Watson is very familiar with her. We got a couple of clips from that debate, and let me tell you something. Lily Tang is a rock star, and if you don't believe me, check these babies out because you will absolutely. Oh, that's one of them. That's one of them, Minmo. Hang on. Check this out.
Because as I've traveled around this state, from my neighborhood in Nashua all the way up to the North Country, I see Ukrainian flags everywhere I go. The people of New Hampshire understand that this is a fight for freedom and it's a fight for democracy. This is an unjust war that Vladimir Putin waged against a sovereign nation. My opponent believes that the path to peace is through Vladimir Putin. I know from my own professional experience that that is just so dead wrong. You know, early in my career, if I could finish, please. Early in my career, I worked for Senator John McCain to take on Vladimir Putin. I'm banned from Russia for life because of that work. And I believe deeply in the cause of freedom in Ukraine.
Ms. Tom Williams, 30 seconds.
You math cannot add up, okay? And I'm very good with math. Maybe that's stereotype for aging Americans. If you want to pay all the stuff you want to pay, then do your math. How are we going to pay for it? Show me the path. Borrow money from China or print money to drive up inflation. And you say Ukrainian flag everywhere in Nashua. I have not seen that many. As I said, if Democrats want to do this, billionaires want to do this, neocons want to do this, please do. Donate your money. So many people have died. It's time to bring peace and talk to the table. President Trump was talking about he will be for peace deals as soon as he gets elected. We cannot afford to engage in endless wars. And your husband, Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor, is causing world on fire because he's incompetent. He should get fired.
Yes, that is Jake Sullivan's wife on the left-hand side of the screen, and Lily Tang just absolutely took her out back to the woodshed and spanked her. But that wasn't the only one, folks. I got another one here, and man, you're going to love this. This is absolutely great. So Maggie Swamp, again, who is Jake Sullivan's wife, okay? Yeah, your husband should get fired. Buddy, you think? We're hoping so in about 3 days. Anyway, Maggie Swamp, who is Jake Sullivan's wife, okay, is in this debate with Lily Tang, and Lily Tang one more time took her out to the woodshed. Folks, check this out. I think you're going to get a kick out of it.
And hope for the best. Hope that the results will trickle down to hardworking people. I take a very different approach. I believe that the middle class deserves a tax cut, and I believe that we will do a lot for this country by ensuring that we don't continue this disastrous tax policy.
Ms. Williams.
You are wealthy. You're worth $20 million to $30 million. How do you know about regular people suffering? Do you go shopping, go to Walmart, buy food? I talk to those people. And you pretend to be a renter in Nashua a few months ago, move back to run for this open seat with millions of dollars from Washington, D.C. insiders. And the millions of dollars. I don't have money to run a TV ad. And you pretend you are poor, complain rent is so high. You couldn't save that apartment for other people to rent in Nashua. Just go back to your $2 million home in Portsmouth. Please don't say that, because you do not understand regular people's concern. People cry in my arms on this issue.
Yeah, we better pray she's got good security. Oh, she took Jake's wife and just absolutely just verbally smacked her around. Go back to your $2 million house, lady. Oh, that was great. That was, yeah, absolutely. I agree with this. I knew, like I said, I knew a little bit about her background before, and her story is amazing. If you guys don't know anything about Lily Tang, check her out. I would love to see her pick off that seat up in New Hampshire. She'd be great. Absolutely great. Okay. One more thing, and this is more or less a palate cleanser as we get ready to bring this train into the station. As y'all know, we recently celebrated Halloween here in the United States, and people post videos all the time of stuff, and this one was really cute. I'm not sure if someone sent this to me, if I found this one on my own, but I thought, you know what? This is a pretty good palate cleanser. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I did. Check it out.
Oh my goodness, so many. 1 trick-or-treater, 2 trick-or-treater, 3 trick-or-treater. I have one for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have 2 for you.
Thank you.
And finally, number 3, my favorite number of the day.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, to be a child again. Okay, we're going to bring this train to the station and let you guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I want to thank you guys for being here for Front Porch Brunch. We will gather again Monday evening at 7:30 Eastern. In the meanwhile, I've got some work to do to get ready for Tuesday night's coverage of the election. I want to thank you guys again so much for being here. You guys have been an awesome audience as always. You guys have a great weekend. Keep your eyes and ears open. Be ready to pass around whatever information you find come Monday night. And I guess this word of admonition. Keep your heads up. Pray for each other. Pray for your fellow citizens. Pray for your fellow countrymen. Pray for this election. You know, if you and the Almighty have a fairly good working relationship, and even if you don't, now would be the time to offer it up. So yes, it would be greatly appreciated by everybody. All right. With that, stay positive. Tell your friends and neighbors and your family that you love each other. And you guys have a great weekend. And as we leave, as always, the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, ring in our ears. It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday night.